Well, long time no see, 1/400 scale airplane collectors. So, for many years, I've been looking at eBay for the 1/400 scale Dragon Wings shuttle carrier. It's like $200-300 all the time, and several times I was close to buying it, but luckily, some newer brand, I've never heard of this brand called Patriot, came out with this model, so that's great. So let's take a look here, and I'm going to read some Wikipedia as well. So that's the back side, or is it? It's some sort of, oh, okay, it reveals the other way. A few languages there. Okay, Eric Page Liu. Alright. So, well, here we have some cool statistics. So, 57 ferry flights, 5 free flights, where they basically let go of the shuttle in the air just to see what would happen, and it could coast and land successfully. 60 times moving this Columbia, and then 20 times for the Challenger, 38 for the Discovery, 36 for the Atlantis, 12 for the Endeavour, and then the Phantom Ray stealth drone 2 times. Okay, cool. So in case you haven't picked up, this thing was built to shuttle these things from, when the space shuttle would land, they would put it on this giant crane gantry thing and then load it onto this, and this would fly it back to the Kennedy Space Center to prepare it for the next flight. This photograph here shows the reinforcement structure. They kept the first class seating, but the rest of it they gutted because of weight savings, because this shuttle's heavy as heck. And so they obviously had to reinforce it and put the same mounting points that the shuttle has to the large orange fuel pod when it launches into space, and match those mounting points here with the airplane. All right, sorry, I lost focus. I was reading some stuff. Okay, so what else here? So let's see. So this registration, there's only 2 airplanes. So let me pull out this image. So this is the airplane in question today, or it's got 2 little upper deck windows. And this is the long-range airplane. It's the very first one, which they bought from American Airlines. And it's even in the early days, it actually had the American Airlines cheat lines painted on there. So this American Airlines plane would fly like 10,000 kilometers or 6,300 miles. But once you slap this thing on there, the range drops significantly down to 1,900 kilometers or 1,200 miles, because that thing is heavy again. They had to add these vertical stabilizers on the end of the rear stabilizers, because the weight, the center of gravity shifted quite a bit. And then even without the shuttle, they had to put a bunch of ballast in just so they can control it normally. All right. Later on, they got a second one, and that's more like a short range transportation. Both of them are retired. They retired in 2012 with the rest of the space shuttle program. There it is in flight, moving something, and then the last image, there it is on the ground. If you actually want to see this airplane in real life, they built a mock-up shuttle and slapped it on the real airplane, and it's sitting on display at the Space Center Houston. So that's, if I ever go to Houston, I'm going to have to remember to go check that out. I don't think I've ever seen this plane in real life. When I was a kid, I went to Kennedy Space Center, but I don't remember that stuff. Alright, so back to this thing now. So it says Shuttle 747-123. Oh yeah, these 2 planes are based off the Boeing 747-100. Again, originally I guess for commercial flight purposes. And then this one is carrying the Shuttle Endeavour. Alright, so now we have a card. What is going on here? It's like a... Boys, I mean, why do you have to put it in an envelope? I also don't see a need to have this card, because it's the exact same art as the box. You're just duplicating things. It's literally a postcard. I don't know if anyone's gonna mail this, right? It's just, it's weird. It's weird. You're forcing people to buy stuff for redundant reasons. And then we have a credit card. Again, I don't know why I need to have a credit card with artwork that's already on a box that I own. It's wasteful. And also that plastic eventually is going to end up in everyone's bodies. Okay, well, now we have a little Patriot thing here, and then we have some nice dense foam, and we have some very small frail parts that we're probably going to have to hold that shuttle on. So we'll take that out. Take this out. And then we have a stand base. And this is die-cast. The airplane is die-cast, so it's quite heavy. So I can actually understand why this is metal. And this is nice. It's not a sticker. It's a tampo print. So it's literally paint. It would be hard for that to... It's not going to peel off. And nicely, this stand is very thin. So it's not extra heavy. But I'm sure it's quite durable. As you heard it clang. Now this shuttle seems to be plastic, I can tell already. Let me change the angle here. And that's fine by me. I'm okay with plastic models. They're lighter and they have better detail than anything made out of metal in most cases. So you can see here, yeah, this tiny texture that is representing that heat shielding, those tiles. And you simply couldn't get those fine lines done if this was made of metal. Also, die-cast tends to get paint rash, so that's another reason why I don't like die-cast toys. They tend to bubble up and ruin the paint on them, and sometimes there's something called zinc rot where the thing just deteriorates because all the dissimilar metals in the hodgepodge mix of die-cast, they react with themselves and they don't want to be stable. Well, I guess we're already into the review then. So I don't know, I'm not sure what that rectangle represents. But you can obviously see it's got this aerodynamic cover for the thrusters. I was just wondering if it comes off. I don't think it does, but I'm gonna guess Patriot model will release 1/400 scale shuttles that actually have the thrusters and maybe, you know, some sort of diorama or something to make it look like it's in space. But this thing is not. I don't know if that's a separate piece. It doesn't look it. It looks like the same material here. I was wondering if they maybe would cast these doors separately so they could have a version where they're open and then show the payload or whatever, again, have them in space. I am not really sure why it has these black rectangles. If you know a lot, please leave comments for me and everyone else to learn about this stuff. And it's typical of 1/400 being a hobby scale. There's a lot of fine details. These panel lines are so small, they're so thin. This is a toothpick that's supposed to go between the gaps of your teeth, right? And look how much thinner the printing is of these details. It's hard to focus, sorry. Endeavors are clearly legible. I don't know if these hazard things, if they're legible or not. Now, some of the other brands like Phoenix, you can zoom in and you can actually read the text. But this is apparently not Phoenix model, so it's still pretty nice, don't get me wrong, but it's just not the top level of printing you'd find in this hobby. Okay, some sort of, I don't know, tiling maybe there. Unfortunately, a little extra molding flash. I think those could be thrusters or something, or maybe those to help it spin up in space or something. And then the leading edge of the wing is some sort of, what, paint? I guess that's paint, yeah, maybe like a gunmetal, but representing something. And then it's got something, bigger tiles, I guess. I don't know if that's paint, it looks like it. I don't think it's a decal, so that's nice. I almost feel like this is a separate break from this. I feel like this is part of the plastic base, and the white is the painted die-cast metal. Alright. So then you have some different colors printed on here, and not symmetrically either. Like, that's off. It looks like a mistake, but I'm sure it's accurate. Okay, so interesting. The NASA logo looks fine. This vertical stabilizer, rudder, or whatever you'd call it. Nice tight panel creases. Yeah, interesting. There's no insignia up here, right? No NASA or registration number. Interesting. And then let's see here. Is there a texture on this black? I'm zooming in further. Look at that. That is pretty impressive. I mean, you can see my fingerprints, right? And then look at this black texture. Looks like, I guess, the tiling. Yeah, and the leading edge as well. Very impressive. Very impressive. Sorry, the camera's shaking. It's on like one of these spring booms that you'd find for like desk lamps. It literally is that from my IKEA. A little bit of extra dust, keep in mind. So now we got some printing here in the cockpit, some I guess moonroof windows, and I think maybe those might be ejection seat ports if I had to guess. Don't know what's going on there. The windows, they have two different colors, you know, between the what's representing the glass and the actual black, I guess, sealant or sealing around them. And no idea. Okay, a lot of details printed on, and then different color here. Maybe some side thrusters, front thrusters. Very cool. Some sort of hatch, and then yeah, you just see all this tiling. Oh, look at this. I wonder if it's a graphic. Maybe that is a decal, right? Because why else would it be going into this mounting hole? So it's concerning. I hope this doesn't peel up in the future. But yeah, I think it might be a decal looking under this magnification. Anyways, for today, it does look fantastic. That I zoomed in a lot, 4 times. Yeah, to the naked eye, it's just awesome. You can still see the thing, but alright, wow, that was a long time just on the shuttle there. Alright, so now let me back out. Here's the arm for the display stand. Oh, look at the ends of the wings. There's this tiny little antenna or probe sticking out of them, so be careful when you pull this out. So I want to get the stand piece out first. And it's very thin and funky. It's got a insert nut that you'd find co-molded into other products. This is a rubber pad. That's cool. So it won't scratch up the bottom of the model. And it seems to be glued or taped on there. Alright, so I think you gotta take this insert nut off. I think they use that because it has grip. You know, those little ridges. So now there's a little bit of a locator. You know, it's not a circle, so it won't spin, which you don't want with an airplane. And now you can use the insert nut to screw this tight. And because it's knurled, it's very easy to use. That's really smart. I don't know why I've never seen that used in hobbies before. Just cheap insert nuts. These things are really cheap. I have a box of them myself. Alright, so that's very cool. Very slender and hopefully strong enough for long-term displaying, which I'm sure it is. Alright, so I washed my hands. I don't want to have any of my hand oil possibly messing up this paint. And again, these two things are extremely delicate looking. They're probably die-cast metal, maybe, or if they're inserted. I don't know for sure. We'll find out. Okay, so. So, I tend to drop things, and I do not want to destroy this, so it's on this really big, thick car drying towel. So let's start with the bottom here, and guess we gotta zoom in, because this thing is 400 times smaller than reality, but the camera's gonna wobble a little bit. So again, look at all these you know, panel details printed very finely, thinner than this toothpick, and sorry for that. What is that? I gotta get a new toothpick. Alright, you can see a little inserted antennae there, a little loading hatch, all these little printed details, some NACA ducts there. Going around here, no clue what that is. There's the mounting thing for the stand. These probably represent maybe landing gear doors. And then you can see, well, you can see on this magnification that tire's a little messed, but you can slide it back on. And then oddly, many of these 1/400 planes, the wheels and tires roll. So it's like a toy. But I don't know why you would want to roll something so expensive. It's not I don't think this is a toy. I think it's a scale model. Anyways, the fascinating thing with a lot of these airplanes is how they paint them. Like, this is wrapping around a rounded object, right? This paint. So how they paint them, I think this is the end of one printing right here and another printing, and both of these are on top of this printing, which is probably on top of the white printing. So it's just so many print efforts. And then again, look at this, how this is printed so nicely. Like the edges are like near pretty perfect to me. The leading edge of this wing here, pretty good break there, tight, very tight panel gaps. You might have to take like a brush to clean all this dust off. In fact, let me do that. So I found this really small car sun brush. You know, I think it's supposed to brush out the vents in your car interior or something, but it's so soft. I think you could also use like a makeup brush. You know, those are extremely soft brushes too. So, and cheap as well. Okay, boy. So the back tail tip, I don't know what's going on there, these ridges, but there's a little vent back there. Maybe they eject something out. Alright, so I guess that's the bottom. You got all these little protruding bumps. I don't know what those are called. But the engines here, we have silver, a gunmetal cone in the back, some printing here on the pylon, and then the big, is this a nacelle? I'm just going back to Star Trek. Is that an engine nacelle? That's this gray color, and the leading edge is silver. I wouldn't doubt that the leading edge is a separate piece. It looks like it's raised up a little bit, so maybe that's how they got the good color separation there, by actually having separate parts. Alright, so I gotta back up the zoom a little bit. And these things, yeah, I guess they might be part of this casting, so be very careful. Alright, so on the side you can see these landing gear doors raised up. Yeah, very nice. Boy. And then the front landing gear, there's that little diagonal strut. It's very thin. It's it's probably like a millimeter. This strut right there, very cool. And so metal axles and rolling tires. The tires are actually rubbery. They're soft. I would assume the wheels are made of metal. Okay. All right, let's flip this over. And now maybe I could start using the stand. So let's see about trying to get this stand in there. All right, so it's got like a triangular shape, and then again with that rubber pad. Very smart. That's the first stand I've seen with a rubber pad, but I haven't bought one of these airplanes in a while. But I do have over 100 of them, so I'm glad to see it happening. Alright, so hold on. I can't remember if I bought this Lazy Susan thing online or locally, so I apologize for that. Probably locally because it's kind of heavy. So I don't know what it is or where you can get it. Can't remember. What I'm hoping for is to be able to zoom in on this and the thing won't be shaking around so much because it's stationary. Alright, so looking at the front end, I'm at 4 times magnification. I can't really read that text. Let's see. No, it's not fully legible. It's possible. Maybe I just need a bigger magnifying glass or something. Yeah, you know, that is legible. Those names. That's pretty cool. So, they're the people that flew this, 6 pilots. I don't know what's to the right of that title, but... And then the windows, yeah, they're printed black, of course, but the front windows have a silver frame around them. You have the wiper blades there, the nose cone, brake, I guess, this silver paint, the doors, yeah, alright. And then, yeah, it's showing you how many flights it did, just like on that box. I can't really see if it's legible. Let me see if I can get the camera a little closer without bumping into that wing. Or I think I'm going to have to pull this thing tighter towards the camera. It's possible that's legible, but my camera's simply not that good. So there's just 2 upper windows that holds to mount the shuttle brackets. Alright, let's move this thing a little bit this way. Alright, so the windows on the side, they're either dark gray or black with some sort of silver around them, and then they're inset to blue. So I don't know if that's dust right there. Yeah, that could be a printing mistake, but that doesn't bother me. I mean, I can't even. You probably wouldn't even see that with the naked eye. Now that I know that it's there, I can see that little blue missing, but if I wasn't magnified so much, I probably would have never noticed. Top of the wings. A lot of silver lines there on the near the leading edge. I can't seem to focus on it. Sorry, it's just. Yeah, I don't know why those lines are there. Leave a comment if you know. And then another hatch in the back. 2 more hatches back there. And the vertical thing, vertical rudder, the NASA and the flag look pretty good. And again, there's probably a lot of dust here. You might want to get a little brush to wipe that stuff down. Alright. Some sort of lines on these extra vertical pieces. And then you have these diagonals. They're kind of thick. What I suspect is maybe this thing is made of plastic, and they're using that thickness to keep it glued on to this horizontal wing. Yeah, more dust for sure. Alright. So yeah, again, very, very delicate. The engines there. Some sort of printed details there on the silver bit that I missed earlier. Very cool. Fuselage here. Yeah, that looks all nice. There's some sort of those headlights or whatever you'd find embedded in the wings of these planes. And then this side, the upper hatch, the upper door there. That same printing with the names and the flight missions or whatever. So very impressive. Very impressive. Side view of that landing gear. Let's see about this bottom landing gear from this view. Okay, so the engine details. I think they could be passing air. That's what the impression I'm getting. Although I gotta now change the view angle of this thing. So I gotta get a flashlight behind one of these engines and see if we can see that light. Oh yeah, so that's cool. Those things are literally bypassing air. I just blew in there thinking maybe the rotors would spin, but no. So that's really impressive. Here's my finger, right? So very small. Here's the fan blades are like the thickness or width of a toothpick. So very cool. I'm wondering, from the back view. I see, so it's just around the outer part. The air doesn't pass through the inner part where that gunmetal cone is on the very rear. That's fine. I mean, this thing is 400 times smaller than usual, so it's impressive that it's cool, I think, that it's passing air around there. Alright, so I gotta now get these little pieces out. Let's see how they are. If they seem, hopefully they're durable. I don't know if they're molded or 3D printed. Be careful, obviously, cutting this bag. Let's see if I can make out the mix of these parts here. So there seems to be 6 parts. And I don't know if it makes sense to put them on this plane first or put them on the shuttle first. I think I'll try to put them on the 747 first. So we have this thing with 2 holes, and I don't know if it's going to be a good friction fit either, or if you're going to have to use some sort of like school glue to keep these things in place. There's 2, alright, so I think this is supposed to go here. Oh, no, my bad, here. So the taller peg is going to be on the outside of the plane because it's got to wrap around the fuselage, right? And I will say that's kind of loose, so I am going to pull out some school glue. By the way, this glue is awesome. I think it's a Japanese company, Tombow, and they have different lines of glue, but in particular this is called Pit, and it comes in this green bottle with this fine tip and a big brush tip, which I never use. The thing about this school glue is if you glue something tight, it's a very strong fit, but you can still pry it apart, kind of like silicone glue. I guess it's not as strong as silicone glue, but with silicone glue, if you have experience, that stuff is so strong it takes forever to remove silicone glue from an object, whereas this glue will just peel off and not leave any staining or chemical burns or anything like that. Silicone won't either, but again, silicone just takes forever to remove, and I wouldn't really use it on a scale model because I'd be afraid of removing some paint as I was trying to clean the silicone off. And then so another way to use this is to put it on both sides and let them dry a little bit, and then the glue gets tacky, and it's like a reusable glue. So anyways, I bought 2 bottles of this stuff, and I have to thank this person called Top Gun Chen, who had reviewed his 3D printed models, and I asked, what glue are you using? Because it's very flexible, but it's very sticky, and it doesn't fall off models. So anyways, this Pit glue is great. I saw some, you can buy it on eBay and stuff as well. Alright, so tweezers wouldn't be a bad idea if you have fumbly hands like me. And it turns out I opened that second bag for no reason. That second bag is just a duplicate set of these plastic mounts. And so you see I've managed to push that one all the way down. Now let's see if I can push this one in. Obviously I don't want to break it, but if I do, I have a second set. Or maybe the molding of this. No, I did. I think I got it in there. So that's great. Alright, so now this, I have to assume these brackets are towards the rear just for aerodynamics. And so again, just a little glue because alright, and it kind of snapped in. You might not need the glue at all, but I'm playing it safe. Let's just test fit this. Getting both of these rear holes, I guess they're spread out, the pegs are spread out a little wider than the, there we go. Now that I'm not going to glue because the spread out pegs are actually causing friction, holding that rear end in place. So again, these things are just an extra set, which is great. So I think this photo is that Houston display where it's permanently located now. So obviously hard to focus between 2 objects, but I think obviously it looks pretty good there. This view here. That view of it flying. And this view of it landing. Great, that's the old American Airlines livery. I'll leave a comment for everyone. Why did they put that long rod on the front end? I mean, it's not flying, right? Some sort of air disruptor, or I don't know. Oh, look at this. One of the tires cracked off. So if for some odd reason Patriot sees this video, please either get rid of the stupid rubber tires and just mold them in plastic so they never fall off, or you're going to have to provide an extra bag of tires because this thing's brand new and the thing cracked and fell off this rear wheel. I don't want to use crazy glue and glue that on. It'll ruin the paint, so be mindful of that. Yeah, so that's why I don't like weird extra features. I just want a static model that looks like the photographs. Okay, anyhow, let's try to compare it to some other airplanes in this scale. It's really hard to do because these things are huge. Well, for me, even though my channel is called Small Model Collector, and this is small compared to a real airplane, for my collecting, it's quite large. Ah, boy. So a lot of these brands don't tell you, well, they don't brand their product, because they're going for realism. So I don't know who made this. If it was JC Wings or Panda or Phoenix, but it is the Virgin flight test thing that has this Launcher 1 rocket on the bottom of it. I don't know which 747 it is, but this is very nicely done with all the antennae and all that and the like. So a much more modern airplane. It's got the little winglets on the tip and stuff. Sorry if I lost focus. Now, Dragon Wings, it does make this, or did make this. I could have never buy it, so I bought the Phantom one a while back. That drone. So it's basically, it is the same registration number. Actually, I don't know if I saw that. Yeah, those numbers are there. I just didn't see it, so I apologize for that. But you can see the windows here. This is an old model. So a quick little mini review here. The window frames here, they're very thick compared to what Patriot is doing. But still, also the NACA ducts are almost, painted over. Also these panel gaps for the front landing gear. This is a different time, of model collecting. Still, the printing's quite great, but clearly this is inferior. This is a peg stand hole also, inferior to today's thing. But I think Dragon, no, those are rubbery tires also, and they do roll. It's weird. But luckily they haven't cracked off. Maybe because the rubber is thicker or something. So this is actually still pretty good. It's got the diagonals there. Yeah, it's just an old model. It's got to be at least 10, maybe 20 years old. Oh, but yeah, you can see now the engines. They're all just blanked off, which again is fine for... This thing was probably $15 when it was brand new. I'm going to put that in the back because it's probably very similar. Okay, so the most logical comparison is the Russian AN905 with the Buran Shuttle, and this is by Herpa, a German model company, and same deal, plastic shuttle, die-cast airplane, and great details, but not as technically advanced. These engines are not passing air, right? It's fine, but Patriot, higher detail it seems. Does this have rubber tires? It possibly does, but they're very thick. Yeah, they roll. The fronts roll, the rears do not. So this is huge. Herpa at least brands the bottom so you can kind of know who made it, right? Okay, this one and Virgin, but I never reviewed the Dragon because that was before I started this YouTube channel. If I ever move houses, maybe I'll review all my airplanes. It's just all the boxes are hidden away somewhere. And so let's look at trying to get the top view. I literally have to stand out of my chair now to see what's going on. Yeah, that AN905, that was the largest airplane. I say was because it was destroyed in the Ukraine war. Those clowns destroyed it. Not the Ukrainians, I think the Russians destroyed it. Anyways, this thing's 22 centimeters wide. This 747, being an older airplane, is around 16 centimeters wide. You can actually look up the wingspan online and divide it by 400 if you want to know for sure, but there's nothing in my mind saying these are not accurate representations. Alright, Patriot models, new brand to me, but I gotta say, it's very impressive. This is, 1400 is a hobby grade. It's not a toy grade like 164, which comes from Hot Wheels. So, these products generally are very stable. They know how to properly paint them, except for Gemini jets. Those planes are horrible. Those models get a lot of zinc rot and paint rash in them, so I would avoid that brand. But hopefully this has been painted properly, and hopefully if you guys run into this again, get away. I think all brands need to get away from rubber tires. even the car stuff, because that fake rubber, it deteriorates, it hardens, and it cracks. I'd like to have my models last forever, ideally, because hobby grade stuff is hobby grade expensive. Okay, thanks for watching, and there's still a few other 400 planes I have in my review bin. I just got to get around to them, so thank you for watching. We'll see you then.